he looks extremely slight. The only pushback I would have is if I'm willing to take him second, I'd still be willing to take him first. Like, either he's too small or he's not. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
If you think he's too small, then you don't take him first, second, or third. If you don't worry about it, then there's no reason not to take him first. I guess what I'm saying is the difference in size between Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels would not be the deciding factor.
That's right. That's a well-made point. What would worry me about Jayden Daniels is that either he's going to have to considerably modify his playing style so that he can absorb a 17-game NFL schedule, or you're just going to be really susceptible to wear and tear. And that's a major concern of mine. I think Jayden Daniels was the best player in college football last year by a lot. His stats, I love to dig into the research with this stuff. His stats are unbelievable. He created the same number of explosive plays last year that Joe Burrow did in 2019 in the best college football season a quarterback ever had. And Jayden Daniels did it in 3 fewer games with a much worse offensive line. Jayden Daniels' numbers are just off the charts. But as Rex Ryan likes to say, it's a men's league, and I remain apprehensive that Jayden Daniels can play 17 games in a men's league.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the big question mark here. There's one other piece of this that I think is worth noting. Do you know where Caleb Williams has still never been? Chicago. He has not gone there for his visit. He has not taken his physical. I think that there are tea leaves to be read that suggest that there is still a twist or turn to be taken here. For what it's worth, the Bears were at LSU's pro day yesterday. Now, so were a lot of other really good LSU players that the Bears might be drafting, not their quarterback notwithstanding, including Malik Neighbors, who may have vaulted himself up into being the first wide receiver in this draft ahead even of Marvin Harrison Jr. But that said, there has been this smoke around Caleb Williams preferring not to go to Chicago for a while. It's never turned into a fire, and he has said the right things. But until he shows up there, there are still some boxes to be checked before the Bears can take him 1-1. And I'm just not – so you're telling me right now it is 12-1 that Jayden Daniels is the first pick in this draft, and that is not team-specific, right?
Correct.
So regardless of who it is, I think that's an interesting bet. I don't think it's impossible that happens. Now, one of the problems we have with the draft, and you mentioned Lewis. Lewis was 100% on C.J. Stroud last year, and certainly at this point he looks like he was dead right about that. And now he's on Jayden Daniels. We sometimes approach this, and maybe I'm as guilty of it as anyone, by acting like it's a consensus. Like, well, if 54% of the people think Jayden Daniels should be 1-1, he's going to go 1. At the end of the day, only one person's opinion matters. You're going to hear from 1,000 people over the course of the month of April on who it should be. But only Ryan Poles and the people with him in that building will make that decision. So the consensus doesn't matter. So you have to read the signs. And I still think there are some signs that suggest it is not signed, sealed, and delivered.
It's a well-made point. Twice in recent memory, we've seen the number 1 pick change basically overnight right before the draft. In 2022, it went from being Aiden Hutchinson to Trayvon Walker. And in 2018, at the very last minute, it was Baker Mayfield over Sam Darnold and everyone else in that draft class. So most definitely, it would not surprise me.